Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, episode 53 of Mystery Review. I gave very obvious hints on this one at the end, bubblegum and aliens. Now, if anybody who likes movies didn't get this, boy, do I pity you. This movie is still significant today. It is the source of so many memes and gifs with the whole message that it has portrayed. This film is just so freaking good even today. And it was done in 1988. This movie, of course, is They Live. Now, 1988, a movie was made for entertainment, but is now used as a meme of extreme significance because it shows the reality of life now, so to speak, minus the colorful exaggerations of aliens. Roddy Piper stars in this John Carpenter film, They Live, also starring Keith David and Meg Foster. An interesting fact about Roddy Piper is that his real name is Roderick Toombs. I honestly did not know until the day that I rewatched the film that what his real name was. Another fun fact is that this film was based off of a short story called 8 O'Clock in the Morning by Ray Nelson. So this film kicks off with John Nada, or Nada, however you choose to pronounce it, Nada. He's a drifter. He's walking with his backpack into a city, and a sleeping bag with him too. And one of the things I really like about this film is it has a real life vibe to it, like somebody who does something or isn't doing something strictly because it's a movie, but it's something that somebody would do in real life. Like how he stops by a heat vent from the heat coming from the subways and whatnot beneath. He actually stops to warm his hands by it. And this movie just does a wonderful job at establishing that this guy knows basic survival skills and he knows what he's doing, even though he hasn't done anything yet. He tries going into a job market, looking for a job where they also handle food stamps and whatnot, and nothing is available. And so he leaves there and he's walking around even further, and we get introduced to Raymond St. Jacques' character, who is the blind street preacher, who is literally telling you the truth of what aliens are doing in this film. How they're blinding you of the truth, recruiting the rich and powerful, and how they're all around you and you don't even know it. So when the cops start showing up and Nada moves off, we see someone's attention pretty much glued to a storefront TV where it's showing that there's what's known as blind consumerism. At night, he sleeps outside and notices a silent chopper flying in a circle. And that was actually, I don't know if that was actually an audio mistake or whatnot, but literally this helicopter circling around, the sound in the film didn't really express that the thing was there, you know? And so when we get to the next day, he searches for work and he's at a construction site. And he finally gets some work there. And we're introduced to Keith David's character, Frank. And they also have the nice shirtless shot for the women because, well, by all standards, Roddy Piper was quite the specimen back then. I mean, when he flexes a bicep, it was really defined in this film. So, after work, the guy who hired him tells him, "You don't get to sleep on this, or you don't get to sleep here, man." And so he tells him there's a place called Justice, and so Keith David offers him a place. It's like, there's this place called Justiceville. It's a nice shelter for people, good community and whatnot. And at first, well, he doesn't choose to follow him, but then he starts following him. And then I love how Frank just tells him, he's like, "Look, I don't like being followed unless I know why." And then Nada just tells him, "I don't turn up with somebody till I see where he's going." It's a great little moment between them. So, also, folks, before I go any further, be sure to smash the like button, share the stream out, and also just, well, thank you for your time, because the views and the watch time is what's helping me get closer to the monetization goals. But yes, please do smash the like button. Please do share it out, the stream. This is one that was requested a while back, and I finally started getting to it. And we got a vehicle outside. These idiots are very loud right now. But anyway, hopefully you're not, or it's not catching too much on the microphone. So I see that we have 2 people in the viewing. So how are you guys? Let me know how you're all doing. Don't be afraid to say hi. I don't bite. So getting back to the movie, the Justiceville homeless site was well built for the movie. They actually kind of really did build a homeless area for this. And I like how Frank explains how people are suffering because of fat cat capitalism and how it's fucking up the lives of people who are not rich. Now, Nada tells him, he's like, "I still believe in America. People just have fallen on hard times." And you know what? That has happened. People are doing it right now. This is kind of happening right now. And this movie was in 1988. Now, we then see the Rebel broadcast on TV. And I'm going to quote what the guy says, because just think about it, folks. "Fandad Menace, good to see you." "Hey, Mr. Hant, cheers from the UK. Thank you for stopping in. Always a pleasure to see people in the chat." So the guy says, "Our impulses are being misdirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun 8 months ago by a small group of scientists that discovered quite by accident these signals being sent through," and then the signal is interrupted. And you see that people are pinching their nose, or the bridge of their nose, like right here, showing that they're getting headaches a little bit, which is significant. So then the Rebel broadcast continues, "The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressed society, and we are their unwitting accomplices." The blind preacher is lip syncing this message, because they cut over to Raymond St. Jacques, and he's literally repeating it word for word, lip syncing it. And then when it stops, because he's blind, he kind of reacts to when it's not playing anymore. So then it continues because of another interruption. "Their intention is to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their prime method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated." Now, what this guy is talking about is basically consumerism. How we have all grown so attached to cell phones, computers, social media. This was before the rise of social media, though, but how we've grown so attached to material things like money and TV and whatnot. We've forgotten how to live. We've forgotten how to run an economy and all of this stuff. And these are very important messages even today, because you go outside and look, or you tell a kid to go outside and play, what are they going to do? They're going to take their phone outside and continue to tapping on their phone, just tapping on their phone, just tapping on their phone, looking at this. Get this out of your face, folks. That's basically what the movie is. They want you to basically be zombies. It's quite fitting because the aliens in this film look like skinned people, but with an alien look as well. So we also see, or at the place, we're also introduced to Gilbert. Now, Gilbert, or the actor who plays Gilbert, Jason something, he actually has played in many movies that I've seen, Arachnophobia being one of them, and he also plays in Tommy Boy, which is a great movie with Chris Farley. So he then leads the preacher towards the church, and Nada sees this. So Nada, the next day, asks it about the church kitchen and how it was open from 4 in the morning. He's like, well, we got a lot of people to feed, man. And then we see more rebel messages, or hear them. They are dismantling the sleeping middle class. More and more people are becoming poor. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery. We cannot break their signal. Our transmitter isn't powerful enough. The signal must be shut off at the source. So now you know that this is a movement that is trying to fight against the establishment. So Gilbert watches the message and then goes back to the church. Nada then pokes around in the church while these people are talking. He's learning that these people have chemicals and sunglasses. They live, we sleep is scrawled on the wall. Gilbert is talking with the guy from the broadcasts, and they talk about sending the shipment out onto the street. The blind preacher finds Nada and touches his face to see if he's human. And then, Nada was, or he's able to read Nada, basically. And he's like, you will be back. You will be back. And then we see that a chopper starts flying overhead again. And Gilbert and a couple others come out with some sunglasses and start looking up to see what's going on. Now, there are these rumors on the street that the police are going to somehow come after these people and how they're rounding up people here and there. Well, quite the foreshadowing, considering this movie is very quickly paced. This movie is only an hour and 47 minutes. However, this movie straight paces through. It has the slow build, but once the things start moving, it starts moving rather quickly. Now, Frank notices that Nada borrows some binoculars and he spies on the church and tells Frank this as Gilbert loads a car with boxes. Frank wants none of it, man. Frank tells me, he's like, I'm keeping my head down. I got a wife and kids. I don't need this, you know? That night, the chopper is back with a sniper, and the people are fleeing the church. Gilbert, the blind preacher, and the broadcaster are fleeing as cops show up at the church. The homeless community gathers to watch. We then see riot police show up with a bulldozer that attacks the homeless community, tearing down their stuff, just mowing it over. This scene is rough because it shows that the police are in on this whole thing. And it shows that these people, or that they're going to do what is necessary to destroy any sort of movement against them. But you don't get that, or you don't get that sense until later on in the film. Now, the broadcaster, or we then see later, or we see Nada, Roddy Piper's character, walking through this whole situation where he's looking at the police, how they're tearing up the place, and how they're walking through in a line. People will try standing against them and they shove them down. They fire off a shotgun every couple of minutes to let people know that they need to move on. And you see the blind preacher swinging his cane to keep people back, and the broadcaster start getting beaten down. Nada sees this. He doesn't do anything about it because it's like, I'm staying out of it. I don't know what to make of this, man. I'm just staying the hell out of it. And as he's backing up, he sees a kid trying to hide from these people, and he offers his hand to the kid, and he's like, let's go. And so he takes him down the street, but the cops show up in the street, so he takes him out and hides into a house with the kid just to see other people hiding there too in this empty house. This whole scene basically scares the hell out of you because it's showing that the cops are in riot mode, and they're basically there to quell any sort of thoughts of rebellion and whatnot. Now, the next day, while the community tries picking up the pieces, he checks out the now smoking church. The front of it looks like it's been burnt a little bit. And he goes back to that area where he collapses a door earlier because he kind of fell through a door. And he pulls it out and he sees a box. Well, he leaves, and he then opens the box in an alley, and it's just a bunch of sunglasses. So he starts turning into the sunglasses, trying to reach into the box to see if there's anything else. And it's like, really? And I love how, or the reactions of the small hint of a headache. And he starts looking around after he puts these sunglasses on, and he starts seeing the truth. Behind the signs, behind each sign, there is some sort of message underneath it. And the messages are as follow. I mean, if you're looking at certain things, how you doing, Ruben Thomas? Good to see you. Their signs say obey, marry and reproduce, no independent thought, consume, work, sleep, play 8 hours, conform, stay asleep, submit, honor apathy, surrender, doubt humanity, obey authority, no ideas, cooperate, follow, no thought, buy, do not question authority, buy as in buy some things, consume, do not question authority, watch TV, no imagination, beware identity. The standard stuff. And then he sees one of the alien people for the first time with the sunglasses. And there's a small continuity error that when he sees the alien for the first time and then the alien goes to pay for a magazine from a street vendor, the alien looks back and he has a different look from the first time he saw him. But then it's the same look afterward. And when the guy comes up to him holding the money that the alien guy gave to him, he looks at the money, how it's a couple of $1 bills, but on the money it's set, or it's blank, and it says, "This is your God." And then you also see, or when he has these glasses on, it's all in black and white. And then we see this small dish on top of a street light turning, saying or projecting a deep voice saying, sleep, 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 sleep. And when he starts wandering around seeing more aliens, he wanders into the store. Now, there's one guy who talks with the alien, and you can see and hear the muffled voice of the guy behind the mask. So that was kind of poor audio in that sense. Are you referring to the They Live movie by John Carpenter in 1988? Yes. I have that movie that reflects today's society as now. Yeah, it is. Just nowadays, it's even worse. And I love when he bumps into the woman, or as he's looking at the TV, he's like, figures it would be something like this. And then the old lady alien is like, pardon me. And I love what he says, man. He starts confronting this woman. He's like, you know what? Your face looks like it fell in cheese dip in 1957. And then he's talking about how she needs a plastic or a Brazilian plastic surgeon. I take these glasses off. She looks normal. I put them back on. Formaldehyde face. And they all, and when she realizes I found one who can see, and they start talking into their watches, and they all start looking, and he's like, oh, I don't like this. Fuck this, I'm out. So then we see him talking to a woman on the street who's an alien, and then the alien cops come over, and they try, he's like, you look as ugly as we do, mister, and whatnot. And he then figures out that the aliens are easily as killed as they are. That was a bit funny. Yeah, that was. So then we get to, he takes their or after he kills the alien cops, he takes their shotgun and their ammo, and he goes into the bank. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I am all out of bubblegum. And we see the shootout. He's targeting the alien people, not the humans. And you see one of the aliens is reporting him, talking into his watch, talking, giving them a full description, wearing sunglasses, and he's like, Mama don't like tattletales. And then the guy turns his watch and he disappears. So that's a neat trick. And then he leaves as the police start showing up. He leaves out of a side door, and he sees a small UFO with a little camera thing coming out, snaking down to look at him. And he's like, and what are you, little fella? Trying to tell him where I am. Not very nice. And then shoots the thing. And then we see a human cop, which he causes, or he's like, drop the gun, or drop it, kick feet. And the cop runs, so he takes that gun. And then we're introduced to Holly, and played by Meg Foster. Now, you get right off that there's something really wrong with this woman. Hey, how you doing, Kamen Rider? Good to see you. Now, the introduction to Meg Foster's character, Holly, he takes her hostage. Michelle Crocker, what social commentary does this allude to? Basically, how consumerism has forced society to be, or to conform more and question less. Basically, how the rich and powerful can get away with anything as long as they conform. However, those who are suffering don't want to, and yet they're seen as the enemy. And blind consumerism and whatnot. I mean, if you see this movie, you will completely understand what it means. And it is relevant to today's society, to answer your question, Michelle. So, he takes her hostage. She drives him to his to her house because she lives alone and whatnot. And I love how he asks her, you're like, are you married? Yes. Don't fuck with me. Are you married? No. Do you live alone? Yes. Then I think it's better that we go to your place. So, hold on one moment. I've got to readjust the talking points. So how is everybody doing in the chat? Let me know how you're all doing. And boom. So, as I was saying, the way that Meg Foster plays this role is really freaking great. How she's cold, calculating, she's taken hostage, and she is not, or she says, "Yes, I'm scared for my life and whatnot," and he's trying to convince her these freaking things are out there, man. They've been here for a while, it seems, and he then asks her, "So what do you do?" "I am an assistant manager or something like that for Cable 50." She's a program director at Cable 54 news station. Yeah. And then he gets excited about it, and I love how she takes advantage of his excitement when he goes to turn on the TV, because before then she says, "I'm thirsty," and she grabs a bottle of wine and the wine glass. And this was all a nice ploy setup. So when he goes to turn it on, she spins, smacks him over the head with the bottle, shoves him out her window. I mean, the way that he falls and whatnot, holy crap, man. It's like, how you survived is a miracle. Literally a freaking miracle. Because anybody else would have probably lost their life from that kind of fall. And then as he's trying to get away, it cuts to her on the phone talking to somebody, and you think that she seems to have called 911, because now the police are coming and whatnot. She's like, "No, I am not hurt, and everything is fine so far." And then we get to him walking around. And I love how he maintains his hurt posture in the scenes following, because this man has just fallen a great height, gotten bruised and scraped up. He's bleeding a bit. So, yeah, he's hurt. And so he limps his ass back to the city, and he tries going to Frank. But Frank wants nothing to do with him after his killing spree. And so he goes back to get some more glasses because he lost his. But they've been snagged by the trash man, and he has to get the glasses back. So as the trash men are talking, he opens up the back end of the trash truck, and he manages to get the box with couple more pairs in, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He hears noises, and then the trash just dumps out because he still left the door open as they're taking off. So he gets more glasses. And he has them again. How you doing, Vondra? Good to see you. Now, as he's getting ready to put the box up, Keith David shows up, and we see the very famous fight between Keith David, Frank, and Roddy Piper. And this movie just has great lines in it. It's like, now he's trying to convince him to wear the glasses so he can understand. But he's like, "Just put on the fucking glass." Boom! And they start getting into the fight. "Now you put on these glasses or you start eating that trash can." And they start beating it. Folks, this fight is one of the most visceral fights you will see in a film. How they are just hammering on each other, beating each other, kicking each other in the nuts. How they are just going at it. This fight lasts for like freaking 7 minutes. It is just that great of how they're just beating the hell out of each other. I mean, it really is that good. And you see Roddy Piper pick up a small little 2x4, and he busts the back window of a car. And the way that Keith has a bottle, and he looks at the broken window, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." fucking busts his bottle on the freaking car. And then he starts laughing at him, and they get attacked, or they start fighting each other again. I mean, there's just so much freaking to this fight. It is so freaking awesome to watch. Like, when they did this fight, they really did this fight. I mean, you see him, or you see Keith David dropping his knee into Roddy's groin several times just to get him off. And then he finally after Roddy finally wins. I mean, one of the things I love about this fight is it goes back and forth. Roddy gets the upper hand. Roddy Piper gets the upper hand. Then Keith gets the upper hand. Roddy, Keith, Roddy, Keith. This fight is just brilliant that way. And it shows that that is usually how a fight can go. How they're smacking each other. Now, Roddy at the time, is a professional wrestler. So he knows how to pull his punches. So he doesn't go like this. He goes like this. And it's still able, or the way that they cut around this fight, when they position their bodies in such a way that it won't look fake. That is another great thing about the fight. The cinematography in this film is great, man. They have good cast for the main characters. They have great acting. The directing from John Carpenter is excellent in this film. So after he finally gets Keith David down, he puts the glasses on him and starts holding him up. He's like, "See, look what I'm trying to show you." And he sees two aliens that are walking. I think we got people who are seeing who can see us. The man and woman are walking down, talking into their watches about it. And then he sees a UFO flying by and whatnot. So now he's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is this?" Or the way that you just see it dawn on Keith David's face. Keith David did a wonderful job acting this out. Now, obviously, he's not seeing the stuff in real life. That's what makes him so well at this acting. And he's like, "Easy, buddy. You ain't the first son of a bitch to wake up out of their dream." He's like, "What is going on, brother? Life's a bitch, and she's back in heat." I love that fucking line. I mean, Roddy Piper just has some of the best lines in this freaking movie, man. So they walk over to a kind of like a shoddy hotel. And they notice that everybody's there is not an alien and whatnot. And they get a room. And I also love how the continuity is maintained. Because when they're walking, they are literally like dragging their feet. They look like they've been through the ringer. They look like they just kicked each other's asses. I mean, it's great continuity of how they did this. I mean, they're holding on to each other. They're walking alongside each other. But they're not walking like nothing ever happened. They're walking like they just got their asses kicked by each other. And so we then get the scene in the room. And he's like, "Hey, don't wear those glasses too much. If you do, it starts feeling like a knife is twisted in your skull." And then later on, he's like, "So what the hell are we going to do, man? Be patient a little bit." And he's like, "I can't fucking be patient." He's like, "Well, when you come up with a surefire fucking plan, you freaking let me know about it." I mean, I love how Roddy Piper can get his temper up and get his attitude out there. He's known for that in the ring back in the 80s and 90s. It is just so freaking great how he does that. And then when they're sitting in bed, or both in different beds and whatnot, he starts talking about his daddy and how he ran away when he was 13 because his daddy would beat him to understand the power and the glory, as he puts it. And then he ran away when he was 13 because his father took a razor to his neck and then pulled it away and started doing a sawing motion to try to terrorize the kid, you know? And he's like, when the shit hits fan, we're going to wipe them all out because I'm not daddy's little boy no more. And then Gilbert finds them and talking to him, we got a meeting tonight. The world needs a wake-up call, and we're going to phone it in. We then get to the meeting where they are given contact lenses, an upgrade. There's less interference, so it doesn't hurt your brain. And Gilbert discusses how humans are selling out to the aliens to get richer and have luxury. Earth is like a third world country to the aliens. They're free enterprisers, so to speak. However, they're also converting the atmosphere into a more polluted atmosphere so that they can thrive and humans won't. They convinced the law enforcement officials that humans with sight are basically commies trying to overthrow the government, is how it's all discussed or described. And then when they start discussing where the alien signal is coming from, Holly is among them, and she says that the place that they're talking about is clear, that there's no signal there. But then she starts talking with Roddy Piper because he goes to talk with her after he's loaded up with Keith with some weapons and grenades and whatnot. And also how one of the other people there gives Keith one of the watches that they've taken off of him. So we then see the ambush, and they come in and start shooting everybody that's in the movement for humanity. And the first major hint that Holly is a human traitor is that two people pull her up and they get gunned down, but when she looks at the people shooting, they go in to shoot other people instead. That's a major hint, and blatantly obvious hint, that she's somehow safe. So she does escape, and she walks out of there and whatnot. And we get the shootout in the alley, and how they're shooting other people and whatnot. And you can see that they don't need the sunglasses because they have the contact lenses, which shows that the people are aliens. However, they're still in black and white. And Keith and Roddy are hiding behind some trash cans after everybody else just got wasted. And he's trying to get the freaking thing. He's like, Frank, what? Frank, what? Frank, what? Tell me. Oh, shit. The way that Keith says it, he's like, oh, shit. And he ducks to hide. That just freaking made me laugh so much. And so the watch starts malfunctioning, and he tosses the watch, and it opens up a portal for him. So they both jump into the portal after taking a few shots at the people coming around the corner after him. And it then closes. Now, one of the things I didn't notice when I watched these movies earlier, but then I watched this movie yesterday and I noticed this. The people who have communication devices that are bigger, that they can hold, are the ghost trackers from the the original Ghostbusters film. Not a joke, folks. They're literally using the prop that Egon uses that comes up like this, or that has the two things that come up like this that detects ghosts from that movie. They're using them as communicators in this film. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It was just nuts how they did that. Now, the resistance is then reported over the communicators that they got wiped out. And we then see the celebration where the aliens are congratulating the human elite and rich and powerful. Because of you conforming, you will only get more wealthy. By 39% at the end of this year, your wealth will have jumped 39% and whatnot. And then we see the human recruiter. The rich and powerful guy. At first, I thought he was Kenny Rogers when I first saw the movie. He's a Texan guy. He's like, hey, yeah, y'all or wish you would have dressed for the occasion, though, and whatnot. And you learn that they're from a planet called Andromeda, as he's giving them the tour around the behind the scenes, so to speak, of their operation. They come from a planet called Andromeda, which is, you hear about this from one of their transportation services, where a person gets up, a light shoots them out into the stars and whatnot. And then he takes them literally to the master signal, which is channel 54. Oh, where Meg Foster works. And the aliens are essentially running the show. And when he's like, can I just take him in, show him what's what? Be serious. Where are your authorization badges? Well, then they start shooting aliens, and they are ready to shoot him. He's like, they're running the show. You guys don't get it. They own everything. You aren't going to do anything. What can you do to stop them? Well, how do you stop an invasion that has lasted for so long? They're brilliantly hidden. Well, make your way to the roof to destroy their main signal, because that's where the master signal is. Just happens to be on a roof in a city that they just happen to be at. So that's awesome. Crazy storytelling, but awesome. And as more people try to get in, the guy's like, adios, amigos, and turns his watch and disappears because he is one of the people that is a human traitor. So he escapes. And you see the shootouts. They're trying to get to the roof. It's pure 80s style cutting to the gun barrels as they fire and I love that. So then they also finally find Holly as they're working their way through the building to get to the roof. Holly is getting there, and they get to the stairs to get to the roof. And as they're like, okay, we're almost there, she pulls a gun out, and then they cut to Roddy getting up to the roof, and back to her. She puts a gun straight to Keith David's head and pulls the trigger, cutting it so you don't see what happens. But you hear the gunshot, and so you know that Keith David's dead. And he gets up there, he sees what the thing is, and he's like, Frank, are you and Holly clear? She's like, I am clear. Are you? And she's holding the gun on him. Come downstairs with me. Then a chopper comes up. Drop the gun and please come downstairs with me. And so he pulls a small revolver, a snub-nose revolver out of his sleeve, drops really quick, shoots her, turns around and shoots the thing. He's like, fuck you. And then he just shoots the signal, destroying the signal. Well, the choppers turn to have the guy shoot him, but he's already shot it enough to destroy the signal. So that the signal's out, everybody is now revealed. And as he's looking at the thing starting to flame up and stuff, before he dies, because they did shoot him, he gets his hand up like this, just enough. Basically, it's like, yeah, fuck you. I may die, but I've won, motherfuckers. Flips him off. And then we see the reactions of everybody. The news anchor people are like, oh my God, you look like shit. She's like, wait, what? And then everybody finally realizes, oh my God, they can see all these people. People are looking at this one guy or this one alien at the bar. And you see the sex commercial where this woman slaps him and the guy looks at the camera. And this woman's having sex with one of them. She sees what's going on TV, then looks down and sees that the guy she's riding is freaking alien. Hey, what's wrong, baby? I mean, that's just freaking hilarious. You don't see boobs until the last shots of the movie, which is fine. I mean, honestly, you could have went without the boobs, but you know what? That's the choice that they made. Now, and that's the end of the movie. I mean, this movie was an hour 47. It was wickedly fast-paced. The movie really is a good movie that tells you just how screwed up people or the world is. The consumerism. how it is basically a disease of humanity. You can't just blindly obey people. Wake up is basically the essential message of this movie. Wake up and see the world around you and stop just blindly buying things, consuming things, marrying and reproducing. Do something more with your life is basically what they're doing, and stop relying on material wealth is basically the subject of this movie. And it works even today. Like I said, or look at how Hollywood and all these corporations are basically saying, don't question it, just buy it. Just accept it for what it is. Well, I'm not one of those kind of people. I don't like blind consumerism. I'm not going to accept what you're putting in front of me simply because that's what you're putting in front of me. Not when I know things could be different. And They Live, even though the movie is done in 1988, so it's like 34 years later, this movie is still freaking significant. It's still significant. So yeah. That's the film. So getting to the scores, while this movie has some very dated special effects and whatnot, and it's people in masks and whatnot, I'd say the movie's about an 8 out of 10 objectively. It has a great story. It's written well. It's based off of a short story, but it's adapted well. And John Carpenter is a great director back from the 80s. I mean, Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite movies from the 80s that he did. But for They Live, it's just truly great to watch. They have great fighting, great choreography and whatnot. That fight between Keith David and Roddy Piper is one of the best fight scenes you'll ever see in a film. And I've seen some crazy fights in film, folks, but that one really took the cake. Anyway, subjectively, it's a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. And it should be required viewing for anybody nowadays, especially now with all the crap going on. Moviegoer, it's definitely a 10 out of 10. This movie keeps you engaged. This movie allows you to go through, watch it, and enjoy. It really is fun. So now to the hints. No, that wasn't a fly. That was actually just a dust flying around. But yeah, the hints for the next film: Burma and Fuck the World. If you know it, don't spoil it. If you know it, don't spoil it. But that will be next week, same time, same place. I will be definitely going further in depth with that film because I know a lot of the behind the scenes about it. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Vanja, Michelle Crocker, Kamen Rider, Ruben Thomas, and Fan Dad Menace. Thank you all for tuning in. I have videos out like the one that I did for the Lightyear film. I would love to get more views on that. Get it out and share it out as much as you can. I put a lot of effort into that, folks. I took a week for me to get that video out because of getting the votes for what I needed in the poll. So definitely get that out. I also have a review for Predator 2. So take a look at that too. It's just a smaller video, 17 minutes. And yeah, hope everyone has a wonderful day. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of They Live? Did you like it? Did you not? What were your favorite parts about it? This movie is just so freaking memorable, folks. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all are freaking amazing and beautiful people. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.